questions than answers. However, with the advances in imaging technology, the view above the Earth is becoming more and more clear, and we are gaining an ever greater appreciation for the answers this view can provide. Welcome to the Upper Green River Valley of western Wyoming, a place where answers are needed. The Upper Green River Valley forms the southern stronghold of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. This 18 million acre area encompasses some of the world's most treasured natural resources. Yellowstone National Park, Grand Teton National Park, the popular year-round recreation areas near Jackson, Wyoming, and little known to most, some of the United States' fastest growing gas and oil fields. The Upper Green also provides critical habitat for the region's wintering wildlife, including elk, pronghorn, mule deer, and sage-grouse. This high desert valley hosts the winter destination for the longest big game migration route in the lower 48 states. Visitors to Yellowstone National Park enjoy some of the world's most spectacular geological wonders and wildlife habitat. Only 150 miles away from the headwaters of the Green River, the National Park is the pivotal piece in what is the largest intact temperate zone ecosystem left on Earth. As we head south over Yellowstone, we come to another amazing landscape, also part of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, Grand Teton National Park. The Teton Range is home to some of the country's most prized areas for outdoor sports, tourism, and ranching, all of which rely heavily upon the health of the greater Yellowstone. If you were to stand atop the tallest peak of the range, the Grand Teton, and look east, this is what you would see on a clear day. You are looking right up the Gros Ventre River Valley. Beyond the mountain range on the right lies the Upper Green River Valley, our destination. One of North America's longest overland wildlife migration routes crosses the Gros Ventre Range. We're following the main migration corridor used by the pronghorn, shown in red. Twice a year, bands of pronghorn antelope migrate as far as 160 miles between summer range under the Tetons and winter range in the Upper Green and the Red Desert to the southeast. Having followed the migration route, you can now see into the heart of the Upper Green River Valley. This valley holds significant energy resources. It's mostly public land, administered by the Federal Bureau of Land Management, or BLM. Prolific deposits of natural gas thousands of feet below the valley account for more than 1/5 of Wyoming's annual production and generate over $3 billion a year. Pinedale is the valley's largest town and is located in Sublette County, Wyoming's fastest growing county thanks in part to the energy boom occurring here. Migrating big game animals are funneled through Trappers Point, a narrow rise pitched between the Green and New Fork rivers a few miles west of Pinedale. Pronghorn have passed through this bottleneck for at least 6,000 years. On the move, big game have to negotiate rural subdivisions, roads, and fences, which have effectively pinched the bottleneck to only half a mile. Once through this gauntlet, they emerge in one of the fastest growing natural gas fields in the country. The Pinedale Anticline, located just south of the town of Pinedale, is one of the most profitable gas fields in the nation. Managed by BLM, the underground mineral resources are auctioned off to the highest bidder. In 2005, the Pinedale Anticline produced nearly 187 billion cubic feet of natural gas, with a wellhead value of about $1.4 billion. In 2000, BLM authorized the industry to drill up to 900 wells. The rapid development since then has displaced some of the wildlife that used to spend the winters here. Ongoing studies, funded by the gas industry and federal government, show that wintering mule deer population on the Anticline has fallen by 46% since the drilling started in 1999. In a simulated time-lapse, satellite imagery used by SkyTruth reveals the changes in the landscape since 1986. Pay close attention as the access roads and well pad infrastructure expands, appearing as a spiderweb of bright lines and spots. Each bright spot is a drilling location, or well pad, a 3 to 4 acre area bulldozed into the sagebrush. Graded roads and pipeline corridors link the well pads together into a sprawling network. But it's not just impact to the land. Air quality has suffered as well. Emissions of nitrous oxides from the drill rigs are now triple what was predicted because the BLM underestimated the pace of drilling and the horsepower of the rigs. South of Pinedale, by about 32 miles, is the Jonah Field. Also managed by the BLM and leased by private companies including Encana Inc. and BP, the field contains an estimated 14 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. In 1999, industry and government officials estimated that at most 500 wells would be required to fully tap the field, with only one well per 80 acres. But by 2003, more than 500 wells had been drilled, prompting industry to request permission to increase well densities by a factor of 6 or 7. The BLM approved this Jonah infill plan in 2006, authorizing industry to drill 3,100 new wells, despite serious concerns about the valley's declining air quality resulting from increased development. Up to 250 wells a year will be drilled, a rate 3 times the current pace. With this new plan, well spacing will decrease in some areas to as little as 10 acres. This is just the beginning of the story of oil and gas development in the southern Greater Yellowstone ecosystem. The Upper Green drilling boom is now poised to spread west and north into the scenic mountains of the Wyoming Range. In the Bridger-Teton National Forest, where by 2005 the U.S. Forest Service had already leased more than 150,000 acres. In 2005 and 2006, another 44,600 acres were offered in key wildlife areas west of Myrna, in the Horse Creek and Cottonwood Creek drainages. The Forest Service approved this leasing without any new environmental review or public comment, inciting a wave of challenges by property owners, Wyoming Governor Dave Fruedenthal, sportsmen's groups, conservationists, and outfitters. Meanwhile, a plan to drill exploratory wells near the Hoback Ranches community in the north end of the range is moving through a Forest Service environmental impact review. Concerned by the impacts of drilling, local residents, ranchers, business people, and conservationists have banded together to form the Upper Green River Valley Coalition. The group's mission is to urge BLM and industry to do it right, that is, develop the Upper Green's energy resources responsibly without sacrificing the valley's wildlife, clean air, and other priceless long-term natural assets. To learn more about gas and oil development in the valley and how you can get involved, visit the Coalition's website, www.uppergreen.org. And to explore the valley on your own using Google Earth, visit SkyTruth at www.skytruth.org.
the piece that I have in this show, I put a screen into the woods with a surveillance camera, looking at the nature around us. So one of my goals is to heighten those physical elements of screens and really bring attention to the fact that it is a physical object, even though I feel like it's easy to forget. My background's in photography, so I've been trained to look at the world through a camera, and as over the last decade and decades, as we started to use more digital cameras, digital technology, I realized that so many photographs were never making it off the screen. You would, instead of looking through a camera or looking through a viewfinder and looking pretty much at an object, you'd be looking at a screen on a camera, and that picture gets made, and then it goes to a screen on a computer, and then maybe it doesn't even get printed. And so I just started getting really interested in screens and JPEG files, and started trying to look at the fundamental building blocks, I guess, of what is there with digital technology. I think in some ways it makes it more difficult sometimes to separate what you're experiencing in the moment from your preconceptions from the photographs you've seen already, because there are so many out there. And also the dominance of the eye in how you're experiencing the landscape. When you're trying to find the photograph, you're not necessarily paying as much attention to the sounds or the smells of being in that place. There's an argument to be made that glass is one of the most important materials in terms of the impact in society over the last 1,000 years, because it has allowed a lot of the kinds of construction that are done, but also to have that barrier between ourselves and the environment. I think there's something about the relationship between the photograph as an image and the photograph as an object. And I think it's easier for us to think of the printed photograph as being an object, and easy to forget that a screen is an object too. Screens have this tendency to disappear when they turn on. There's something about the light and the reproduction that we forget that there's an object behind it. So, and that's one of the reasons that I've wanted to work with screens so much. In a similar way to how screens can become invisible and their nature as objects can disappear, projections take that one step further, because the image is totally divorced from the projector, which is off somewhere else. One thing that I've experienced is that, for me, looking at a screen causes me to pay a lot less attention to the rest of my body and the rest of my senses. And I think that vision is, in a lot of ways, is a very primary sense for a lot of people. And I think that screens can make us forget that we have bodies. I think there's a lot of potential in people hacking into technology and feeling more comfortable opening things up and mashing things together. And the more that things feel open and customizable, the more that people will use that to do all sorts of things. The interesting thing also is that the glass is just the protective part of the screen. The glass keeps us from actually even touching the image itself, and it's just this, it protects us from from the image coming at us and vice versa. And the thing about a screen that is similar to glass is that they let some things through, but they also divide at the same time. So there are these invisible barriers that we put up for our own protection, but they also can limit us in various ways. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just, I think it's important to be aware that those things are there.